Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a deeply unsettling animated horror story that completely redefines the idea of karma. The narrative chronicles a vengeful ritual aimed at punishing a serial killer named Purab, a man who marries and sacrifices innocent women for dark occult power. But after he murders his bride Purvi, her sister Nishta steps in, and well, she orchestrates this incredibly complex, terrifying trap. It is a meticulously plotted revenge thriller that explores the absolute extremes of sacrifice, punishment, and just how far someone will go to settle the score.
Right off the bat, let's look at this spine-tingling declaration from our protagonist, Nishta. Just picture this scene for a second. It's the dead of night. She's standing in an abandoned cremation ground, right at the edge of a dense forest. Dark spirits are literally manifesting as physical shadows. They're grabbing her, violently throwing her to the ground, screaming at her to turn back from certain death. But Nishta? She's bleeding. She's in immense pain, but she completely refuses to stop. She just accepts her doom and says, "To gain something, a sacrifice must be made, and I am ready for my own sacrifice."
So let's get into exactly what she's doing in Part 1, the Dark Midnight Ritual.
Our story kicks off right in the thick of a terrifying 11-day forbidden ritual. Nishta is standing on one leg, enduring this bone-chilling cold, surrounded by howling wild animals and crawling insects, and she is completely unflinching. She is sacrificing her own life to summon a very specific, parasitic dark entity known as the Bhakshini. Now, a Bhakshini is a malevolent spirit that binds herself to a man through the sacred act of marriage. But instead of love, she brings a curse, literally feeding drop by drop on the life force and blood of her quote-unquote husband. By summoning this demon, Nishta is guaranteeing absolute, inescapable doom for her target.
Which brings us to Part 2, Purab's Deadly Secret. To understand why Nishta would unleash such a horrifying demon, we have to look back at the inciting incident. Imagine the sheer terror her sister, Purvi, went through. She wakes up in the middle of her wedding night, still wearing her beautiful red bridal dress, but her husband, Purab, is totally missing. She wanders through the dark halls of their mansion until she stumbles into a secret room filled with strange smoke and awful smells. And suddenly, Purab isn't the loving groom anymore. He's covered in black ash, wearing dark clothes, looking like a ruthless butcher. He drags her to a fire pit, chants a spell, and brutally beheads her.
And here is the truly sick part. Purvi was not an isolated tragedy. After Nishta secretly witnessed her sister's horrific death, she started digging and uncovered a terrifying pattern. Purab was a monster. He deliberately used marriage as a guise to ritually slaughter women. He had already lured, married, and sacrificed 5 other innocent girls before Purab, all to increase his own dark occult power and achieve some twisted form of immortality. You have to wonder, what kind of absolute evil does it take to repeatedly twist the ultimate act of trust into a ritual slaughter?
This leads us right into Part 3, Setting a Deadly Trap. So Nishta saw her sister die. She heard the screams, she saw Purab dancing like a maniac, and she knew regular, conventional justice just wouldn't work against a powerful occultist like him. She had to fight dark magic with even darker magic. She coldly orchestrated this brilliant, terrifying master plan to expose his crimes and punish him. And it started by using her sister's unsuspecting roommate, Megha, as bait. Nishta pushed Megha right into Purab's path, knowing full well he wouldn't be able to resist another innocent victim. The whole idea was to corner this serial killer in an isolated location where he'd be completely vulnerable.
And the plan works flawlessly. Purab plays the heartbroken, abandoned groom to a T, easily luring the sympathetic Megha. Before long, he actually convinces her to marry him. He takes her up to a remote mountain bungalow on the auspicious day of Ekadashi. He tells her there won't be a priest, completely manipulating the situation so he can perform his dark rituals later without anyone interrupting. He is so arrogant, he's completely unaware he is walking directly into a carefully laid snare.
And that sets the stage for Part 4, the Wedding Night Reversal. This is the terrifying climax of the story. It's the moment the serial killer finally becomes the hunted. On one side, we have Purab's arrogant expectations. He's getting the fire pit ready, fully anticipating sacrificing Megha, just like the others. But on the other side, reality crashes down. Nishta's 11-day ritual actually worked. A clay pot breaks out in the courtyard, signaling that the Bhakshini has arrived. When Purab recites the wedding vows and places the garland, he unknowingly binds his soul not to Megha, but to a bloodthirsty demon. The tension just snaps when Purab walks into the bedroom. He lifts the bridal veil, and for a split second, he's entranced by this beautiful illusion. But it shatters instantly. The woman sitting on the bed is not Megha. The Bhakshini drops the disguise, revealing her terrifying true form, and violently grabs him by the throat. Purab's eyes bulge, his voice completely fails, and he is thrown into a state of absolute, unbreakable paralysis. The predator is finally caught.
Which brings us to our grim conclusion in Part 5, the ultimate price of vengeance.
The morning after reveals the sheer brutality of Nishta's flawlessly executed revenge. Because she doesn't just want him dead. Oh no. She ensures he suffers an eternal, agonizing existence of physical decay. Purab is completely paralyzed, unable to move a muscle or make a sound. Nishta confronts him, telling him she's going to coat his body in honey so insects can slowly eat him alive. He will experience constant starvation and thirst, but the magic will artificially keep him alive. And every single night, the laughing Bhakshini will drain his blood drop by drop to sustain herself. There is absolutely no escape. Talk about poetic justice, right?
However, to lock this eternal punishment in place, Nishta has to pay the ultimate price herself. A deal with dark magic always collects its due. To ensure the demon stays bound to Purab forever, Nishta sits on the floor, performs one final incantation, and willingly absorbs the Bhakshini into her own body. Megha just watches in absolute horror as Nishta's skin turns blue, erupting in wounds. The demon literally drinks Nishta's life force, draining every drop of her blood until she withers away into a dry wooden husk, dying right there on the floor.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a chilling question. We've seen a meticulously crafted trap and a villain brought to unimaginable justice. Purab is now trapped in perpetual torment, serving as a grim but fitting consequence for his history of ritualistic slaughter. But the cost was absolute. Nishta endured a horrific, painful death just to ensure her sister's murderers suffered forever. So, does the punishment fit the crime? And was that ultimate self-sacrifice really worth the eternal vengeance? Think on that, and as always, keep exploring the dark corners of these incredible narratives.